A potential rate cut from the Fed in May could inject more liquidity. It's almost like very, very highly likely that the Fed will cut the rates because where the economy is starting to retract, inflation is curtailed. So it's best that we position ourselves for that to happen because Trump just said something over the weekend. Trump said that he wanted the rates back to COVID level rates. Now, the lowest rate got in COVID was 0.25. Interest rates on houses, mortgage rates were about 2.5% because Trump equates the economy being successful with low rates. And he's willing to fire Powell. He don't have the authority to fire Powell, but there's other ways he can do it. He's willing to get Powell out of there.
I don't think he's doing the job. He's too late, always too late, a little slow, and I'm not happy with him. We have a Federal Reserve Chairman that is playing politics, somebody that I've never been very fond of, actually. The Fed really owes it to the American people to get interest rates down. That's the only thing he's good for. I think he's terrible. He puts us at a disadvantage to Europe. I mean, he plays right into their hands. If I want him out, he'll be out of there real fast, believe me.
That means that we will see a time of economic prosperity. Let's break this down. The Fed is expected to start cutting interest rates soon. Now, to the average person, that might sound like some boring economic adjustment. But if you're a serious investor, if you understand how capital flows, this is the single most crucial trigger for what's about to happen. Because every time the Fed lowers rates, markets shift dramatically. Cheaper money means more borrowing, more liquidity, more risk-taking. And in recent years, that has always translated into a crypto rally. But this time, it's not just about Bitcoin or Ethereum. This time, XRP might be the asset that benefits the most. Why? Because XRP isn't just a cryptocurrency. It's a financial tool, one built for institutional adoption, international finance, and real-world use cases. And now, with regulatory clarity behind it and a global economy preparing for the next wave of digital innovation, XRP is sitting on a powder keg. Let's go back for a moment to 2020. The world was panicking. COVID had shut everything down. The economy was in freefall. In response, the Federal Reserve slashed interest rates by 150 basis points, bringing them near zero. That one move unlocked a tsunami of liquidity. Investors started pouring capital into anything with upside. Bitcoin went from under $6,000 to over $28,000 by the end of the year. DeFi took off. Ethereum exploded. It was one of the most incredible bull runs in financial history. But here's what most people missed. That run wasn't just about crypto. It was about liquidity. It was about the Fed making money cheap and available. It was about investors turning away from bonds and banks and asking, where else can I get yield? Where else can I see massive returns? And the answer, time and time again, has been crypto. Now fast forward to today. Interest rates have been high for months. The Fed has been aggressive in its efforts to combat inflation. Money is tight, credit is expensive. And what's happened to the markets? They've stagnated, they've consolidated. But the moment that changes, the moment the Fed announces the first rate cut, everything shifts. We've seen this movie before. Investors will flood back into growth assets. High-risk, high-reward plays will dominate. Stocks will rise, tech will bounce, but crypto will explode because no other asset class reacts faster or more violently to liquidity than crypto. And this time, XRP is uniquely positioned to lead that explosion. Let's talk about what's changed for XRP. For years, XRP has been in the shadow of a lawsuit. Ripple battle cast doubt on the legitimacy of the token. Institutions stayed away. Exchanges were cautious. Retail investors were nervous. But now, with a partial legal victory and the path to regulatory clarity unfolding, XRP is no longer stuck in the shadows. It's emerging into the light at the exact moment the financial world is preparing for a shift. XRP is not just a speculative token. It has a real use case: cross-border payments, speed, scalability, low transaction fees, RippleNet ODL, and the partnerships, banks, financial institutions, payment processors. These aren't empty promises. These are real systems being built behind the scenes, waiting for mass adoption. And when liquidity returns, when money starts to move more freely through the global economy, assets like XRP, built for movement, built for speed, built for international transfers, will finally get their moment. Now let's layer in another signal: M2 money supply. Historically, Bitcoin and crypto have moved in cycles that closely follow changes in the M2 money supply, the total amount of cash, checking deposits, and easily convertible near money circulating in the economy. Here's the pattern. Crypto bottoms out months before the M2 supply bottoms out. Then, as the money supply begins to grow again, driven by rate cuts, stimulus, or easing, the prices of Bitcoin and other major assets surge, not in a slow linear climb, in a violent parabolic move. Why? Because crypto doesn't just react to liquidity, it accelerates it, it front runs it. It prices in the future faster than traditional markets. And when that future includes looser monetary policy, crypto lights up. In March 2020, M2 exploded, and within weeks, Bitcoin was on its way to a new all-time high. XRP doubled, tripled, and nearly quadrupled while still under the heavy hand of the federal government and the SEC. Remember, the United States and really other governments around the world use their Fed interest rate to control the flow of money into the economy. Remember, the interest rate is how banks borrow money from the federal government. Then they turn around and give it to you for a mortgage, a car loan, or whatever. So you take out a mortgage, the bank calls up the federal government and says, hey, got a guy that wants a mortgage. I need $500,000 to buy this house. Okay, Fed says we're going to give it to you at 5%. Or the bank says, okay, we're going to give it to this other guy 7%. We're going to be the middleman. But the thing about it is that the government cannot create money unless there was a loan attached. So once the bank asks for that loan, the federal government can now create the money, print it up, put it into the economy, more money in the economy from every loan. And now there's more money. Now the bank gets that money, takes that 500,000, pays the home builder. Home builder takes the money, pays the employees, pays the accountant, pays the lawyers, pays all the people that work for them. Money starts to flow in the economy. So and now remember, the Fed rate is 5% in that scenario. So if you drop the rate to 1%, what does that do? It causes more people to want to buy houses, more people to take out loans. The bank's on the phone a lot more. Every time a loan is created, more money gets created, put into the economy. So the federal rate is like a spigot or a faucet, right? The lower the rate, the more money flows in the economy because more people are apt to take out loans because the rates are lower, money's cheaper. But if the Fed rate is high, people stop taking out loans, slows the flow of money into the economy. Now, temporarily, people may panic. It could cause a short-term blip down. But long-term, because that money's flowing into the economy, it has to create more opportunities, more money in the economy, and it will be an economic stimulus. It has to happen. That's a law. But long-term, over the next year or so after that Fed rate, money will have to flow in the economy because there's more of it. Now, that could cause inflation, and that really affects us a little bit later. But initially, it will cause the economy to go up. Because remember, even if it's not going up, it will appear to go up because of inflation. And that's a hidden thing that people don't realize. Wow, my stocks went up 10%. My house went up 20%. I'm doing well. Let me take out another equity loan. In reality, your house didn't go up 10%. The dollars that it takes to buy your house actually dropped in value, and it takes more of them to buy your house. So now if you look at the screen, your house is now worth $600,000. Last year it was $500,000. Wow, I did great. I can now take out a loan. Even though what happened really is that it just takes more dollars, which are less valuable now, to buy your house. But it still stimulates the economy because people still perceive it as more money. So temporarily, yeah, it will, no matter what, it will generate movement in the economy.